There's a small community that produces more players for the NFL than any place else in America. It isn't in Texas or Florida or Oklahoma. In fact, it's as far from the foundations of football as you can get. Call it Football Island, American Samoa, a rock in the distant South Pacific. How's this for a football stat? From an island of just 65,000 people, there are more than 30 players of Samoan descent in the NFL and over 200 in Division I college ball. That's like 30 current NFL players coming out of Sparks, Nevada, or Gastonia, North Carolina. As we first told you last winter, American Samoa was a place we had to see. So we traveled 8,000 miles to find a people and traditions so perfectly suited to America's game, it's as if they'd been waiting for centuries for football to come ashore. In American Samoa, it's the pregame show. This is a high school team warming up with the Haka war dance, something that's been passed down for ages to teach agility to warriors of size and strength. What coach doesn't wish he'd thought of this first? It turns out the South Pacific was raising football talent before there was football. When we were there, the island was getting set for its Super Bowl, the high school championship.
This is it. This is it.
After a winning season, 16-year-old quarterback Tavita Namia would lead the Samoa High School Sharks. His coach, Papine Lauvoa, has a roster that mainland schools dream of.
They're soft-spoken, they're gentle, but when they put on the equipment, they just become monsters. I mean, they just want to go out and hit and hit and hit.
16? How tall are you?
6'5".
6'5". How old are you?
17.
17? You must be about 6'5" too.
Yeah, 4.5.
Looks like you've been hitting cars with this stuff. In the last 5 years alone, the island's 6 high schools have produced 10 NFL linemen. It's estimated that a boy born to Samoan parents is 56 times more likely to get into the NFL than any other kid in America. Well, not to be indelicate about it, your people are big.
And big is beautiful.
Tangiola Tulafono is the governor of American Samoa, and he will tell you it's more than size. His people come from a farming culture that prizes hard work, reverence, and discipline. And he thinks that's why scouts and coaches are pulling out their atlases. I'm afraid most Americans back on the mainland would be hard-pressed to pick this place out on a map.
Yeah, it's not very visible.
It is a small dot in a big ocean.
It is, it is. But nowadays, Google helps a lot.
American Samoa is a paradise, clear seas and 80 degrees most of the time, a land that roared out of the Pacific in a volcanic eruption. It's nearly 5,000 miles from California, way past Hawaii, the only inhabited American possession south of the equator. Of the 7 islands in the chain, the largest is just over 19 miles end to end. It was back in 1899 that the U.S. Navy sailed into this harbor and figured that it was perfect for refueling ships. The islands have been American ever since. But the people aren't exactly American citizens. They can't vote for president, but on the other hand, they don't pay income taxes either. The capital, Pongo Pongo, has an American feel. Flag Day is the most important holiday, and there's a tradition of sending kids into the U.S. military. But for all its beauty, American Samoa is not blessed with wealth. For the most part, they make a living canning tuna. 2/3 of the people are below the poverty level. Tavita Namia, the quarterback for the Sharks, has a typical family. His mom works at the cannery, and he'll need a scholarship to go to college. Namia and Coach Lauvoa make the most of what they have. Coach, this is the practice field.
Yeah, this is our field. We call it the Field of Champions.
So the Field of Champions is short, rocky, and unlined.
Yep.
And yet, how many NFL players have you turned out of this school?
3.
3. You have a locker room?
Nope, we don't have a locker room.
You have a weight room?
We don't have a weight room.
How are you turning out NFL football players?
Determination.
Votech High School has one player in the NFL, but Coach Ethan Lake has no practice field at all, no locker room.
Well, show me inside.
And this rusted shipping container is the storeroom for his varsity team's busted, antiquated equipment.
And there it is.
Yeah. Everything that's in here that we've gotten here in American Samoa is actually donated. It's secondhand equipment. And it's actually equipment that would never be allowed to be used in the States. If we did that here, we wouldn't have football.
Coach, if you use some of this gear back in the States, you'd get sued.
Definitely, definitely.
For all their success, here's another amazing fact. They never had youth football until this year. The NFL and USA Football are helping to start the program, but all of the players that came before started playing in high school. At first, you think they do well despite the adversity.
You don't need equipment to teach you guys how to start tackling properly.
But then it strikes you. Getting cut up on lava rock, playing in sneakers without equipment are keys to success. Samoans are born big, but the island makes them tough. This is a place where kids use machetes to do their chores. Come to think of it, it's a place where kids do chores. 17-year-old Aunu'u does a day's work before school under the direction of his father, David.
He's cooking in this house, he's cleaning in this house. That is something that kids back on the mainland would not believe if they didn't see it.
That's how he's been brought up. Discipline, obedience should be involved in this house. And I'm expecting my children to obey us.
Aunu'u is 6'5", 280. Arizona and Oregon State offered scholarships. One day, he hopes to follow in the cleats of his brother, Jonathan Fanene, the defensive lineman for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Jonathan Fanene, talented guy with the Cincinnati Bengals.
When you sent him to Cincinnati, did you give him any advice on how to live and how to play football?
Well, I told him, once you put on your football equipment, automatically you turn into a lion. Turn into a lion that's chasing a deer to eat. You know what I mean?
Play like a lion, but be a humble man.
Be a humble man.
While humble, the Fanenes know the rewards of NFL success.
So Jonathan built this place for you.
Yes, sir.
Looks like football's been very, very good to the family.
Yes, sir. That's right.
From an island where the average income is a little over $4,000 a year, Jonathan Fanene is making more than $1 million in Cincinnati. And think of this, Paul Brown Stadium would seat everyone back in American Samoa, everyone, with 1,000 seats to spare.
With the talent that we have to take pride of it, you know, especially when you have the opportunity to come to the mainland. You got to take advantage of it.
Fanene is a defensive end who had a breakout season last year with 6 sacks. He's one of 2 Samoan-born players on the team, along with Domata Peko.
The combination of size and ability and speed, you know, it's kind of hard to find big dudes that can have nimble feet, you know, and are able to run and go sideline to sideline.
The NFL's Sunday Samoans are hard to miss with their vowel-laden names and trademark hair. The most famous is Pittsburgh Steelers All-Pro safety Troy Polamalu. Born in California to Samoan parents, his name is on 2 Super Bowl trophies.
What if there are 120 million Samoans? You know, how many Samoans would there be in, you know, the NFL?
If there were 120 million Samoans, it might be the National Samoan Football League.
That would be interesting, yeah.
Polamalu may well be the most versatile defensive player in the league. Smart, fast, and a hell of a hitter.
What does football mean to a kid growing up on Samoa?
It's our meal ticket, you know. Just like any marginalized ethnic group, you know, if you don't make it to the NFL, what do you have to go back to?
A lot of these kids would never go to college if it wasn't for a scholarship.
Yes.
With football.
You know, and that's the beautiful thing about football. It's allowed us to get an education. Football is something that naturally comes to us.
Fair to say, football has never been more important to the island than right now, because this season there's been more than the usual trouble in paradise. The island may lose its tuna industry. One cannery, Chicken of the Sea, has left, And because the U.S. Congress wanted to help Samoa by imposing American minimum wage, Governor Tulifono worries that the last cannery, Starkist, could look to other shores.
How much of your economy is wrapped up in the tuna canneries?
I think some economists have estimated that to be 80% of 80% of everything that goes on around here is dependent on the presence of the canneries.
And you just lost one of them.
We just lost one of them September 30th.
What has that meant to you?
Devastation.
And in the fall, there was natural devastation too. The day before that cannery closed, the island was struck by an earthquake, which led to something much worse.
When the shaking stopped, people traveling on this road could see the ocean moving backward out to sea, and a few of them knew what was coming next.
It was a tsunami, which was recorded by a security camera until the power went out. The wave pushed inland for a mile. 34 people were killed, and entire villages were washed away.
When I heard the village that got hit, the first thing that came to my mind was my football players. And then I found out 13 of my kids either lose their home or home damage by the tsunami.
One of his kids who was hit by the disaster was quarterback Tavita Namia. This is his house after the earthquake. With about 8 weeks before the championship, some thought they should cancel the season. But Governor Tulifono decided that football would cheer everybody up. Namia's Sharks prepared to play the championship favorite, Tafuna High School, featuring Aunu'u Fanene. But in another blow in a cruel season, Namia's father died suddenly just weeks after the tsunami.
With Tabitha and his family during this time of need and sorrow, and all God's people say, Amen. All God's people say, Amen.
They decided the game would go on, but it was postponed to later in that day so that Namia could bury his dad.
This kid is the leader on the team, and this kid has heart.
Hours after the funeral, the Samoa Sharks and Tafuna High met for the last game of the season. Tavita Namia connected early and jumped out to a surprise 7-0 lead. The rest was a contest of all Samoan defensive lines. The Sharks won the championship, 7-6. Their first championship in 11 years.
When the clock strikes 0, then I look for my quarterback. And I told him, this is for you. Your father's looking down on you, and he's very proud of you. So, and I gave him a hug.
Love you, coach.
It wasn't until that moment that we really understood how a community of 65,000 has so many players in the NFL. Turns out it's not the size, it's the heart.